Hey sweet souls, welcome back to my channel. I am Carolina Jimena and I am helping you change the way you look at spirituality. Today I'm talking about New Year, New Moon planning. I know this is going at mid-February, but it's never too late to plan your year ahead or at least get an idea of your year ahead. I mean, I've made so many plans in the past that just have never come to fruition, and I've wasted so much time creating these plans that never fucking happened. So today I just want to talk a little bit about getting like a general idea of your year, or maybe having something to anchor yourself to as you progress through the year, and just see where you are at with your goals and all of that kind of stuff. So without further ado, let's get into it. These next couple videos, if you watched my update video last week, this week, next week, and probably the week after that, are going to be really lax. I'm going to do pretty minimal editing in them just because I want to get the content out there. I want to get my rhythm back into YouTube before I use my new rhythm of executing on my YouTube channel, I guess, or planning for my YouTube. And I'm going to start doing a little bit more batch recording and themes and all of that kind of stuff that honestly you probably don't even care about or really want to know. But that's just kind of how I'm progressing with the channel. I want to be a little bit more intentional behind it. So, New Year, New Moon planning. If you don't know, the new moon, which happens every like 28-ish days, is an amazing time to reflect on the past cycle. So the past month-ish. I really like to use my like personal cycle. So like my menstrual cycle, so reflecting on how that last cycle went, and then setting intentions for the new cycle. So really figuring out like what worked, what didn't, and how can I make improvements moving into the new cycle. So reflection is a really key part of the process that I feel like a lot of people don't recognize, which is what I'm really excited about this year, in really making reflection a part of my process and a part of going through my intentions and going through how, like, what I want to do this year and what I want to accomplish this year and the goals that I have and all of that. And I posted a reel on my Instagram, which if you're not following me, you can follow me at Authentic Souls Club on Instagram. And so I have these sticky notes up on my window right in front of me of everything that I want to manifest this year. And that all came through with doing my New Year, New Moon planning party, which I think I'm actually going to host one. Probably, ideally I would love to do it in April because that's the energetic new year. Being in Aries, I'm the first zodiac. Aries season is, end of March, beginning of April. So that's technically the energetic new year. But I also don't want to put too much on my plate and, go guns a-blazing with everything that I have been cultivating and creating and thinking about in my Q4 kind of reset and hermit mode that I had activated last year, which is why I disappeared from my channel. And if you want to know a little bit more about that, you can, I think it's going to be on this side, is going to have the video for you to watch. You're here for it. I know you are. You're here for my realness and my real mess. And I love you for it. Okay. So new year, new moon. I do want to host a planning party for that. I'm probably going to wait to launch it actually in the new year. So like 2022. More details to come on that. Anyways, I digress. Let's focus on what I actually did in my New Year, New Moon planning, so that if you want to have a little planning party of your own, you can. So first and foremost, what I started off with was just like reflecting on 2021, what worked for me, what didn't. And I had been doing a lot of reflecting already in Q4 because I was just very unhappy in my business. I was very unhappy with, some personal things too, like my body, my fitness routine, my eating habits, which then affected my skin. So I just really needed a reset. I really needed to just like take care of myself and focus on myself, which is what Q4 was all about. So like I said, you can go check out that video. I talked more about it. And so I did some more reflecting on that. And then I really was like, okay, what do I want to see come out of 2022? Like what's my overall vision? And I really connect with oracle cards personally. That's kind of my intuition tool that I gravitate towards. And the reason why I love oracle cards is because they are very open to interpretation. And the way that I find oracle cards work is like, yes, it allows me to connect to the universe. Yes, it allows me to connect to my intuition. But really what your intuition is your subconscious. Like scientifically speaking, our subconscious pulls in so much information constantly at all times. Like even right now, my subconscious is picking up so much around me, so many vibrations and sounds and waves and energies and all of that, that my conscious mind is just, it would get overwhelmed. It would be too much all at once. So it goes into the subconscious. But the subconscious picks all of that stuff up. So whenever I pull an oracle card, the subconscious, my intuition, is then sifting through all of that information that it's felt, that it's interpreted, that it's gathered in. And then it pulls through. When I pull up a card, seeing that card acts as a sign for me, or acts as a signal, I should say, acts as a signal for whatever's in my subconscious to then come through. And that's the way that I feel my intuition works. So I really connect with oracle cards. And colleagues that I have, posted that in their newsletter, they were going to share a new year spread. So I was very excited about that. So I signed up for it, and it was essentially just having like your focus in the middle and then each of the months around. And then obviously I take inspiration things and always make them my own, which I feel everybody should, because what works for one person is not necessarily going to work for every single person. That's the whole fucking message of this channel. It's about finding a way to make spirituality work for you. I wish that I was the kind of spiritual person that like had a very soft and soothing voice and was really calm and wore flowy clothes. But like, I'm not that fucking person. I'm very abrasive. I'm very opinionated. I have a loud voice. I have a loud laugh. I have a loud personality, but I am still incredibly spiritual. So there is a place for every kind of spiritual person, and I never found that place for somebody like me. So I decided to create it so everybody that's like me, who is incredibly spiritual, but is also incredibly analytical and also incredibly fucking loud and loves to swear and gets their nails done and wears lipstick. I'm not wearing anything right now, but and wears high heels and slim fitting clothes. Like, I'm that fucking bitch. Like, that's who I am. But then I also like to like meditate and have my rituals with the moon and follow my cycle and all of these things. So if you are like that, this is your place. I have created that place for you. And I'm creating an even bigger, more intimate container that is coming soon. So stay tuned for that mid-February 2022, depending on when you're watching this. If you're in the future, it's probably already out. So you can, head to my website or find it. Anyways, okay, so I took that spread and I said, okay, well, like, I don't like focusing on one thing. Like, I'm way too ambitious to just have one focus for the year. So I chose 3 because I also didn't want to go too far into it. I didn't want to have like 7 different things I was focusing on because I wanted to be achievable. I wanted it to be realistic. So I chose... put it in my planner here, or my little notebook here. So my theme, okay, so I led you astray there for a second. So in the middle was your theme, and then you had, a couple different areas of your life that you wanted to focus on, and then the months around that. So I chose 2 cards for the theme, and I'm thinking, if I'm remembering this correctly, the reason why it was 2 is because 1 jumped out. And when a card jumps out of the deck, that means the universe is like, pay attention to this. Like, this card wants to be read, this card wants to be heard. So my themes for 2022 are fierce serenity and accept and receive. And then the three areas that I chose to focus on were first and foremost myself, and then my career, and then my finances. Because my finances have been a little bit of a roller coaster ever since forever. I've been on this roller coaster. I've gotten into a lot of debt in university, and then I paid it off. And then after university, I was in the job market and I hated it. So I left, got into a lot of debt, and then paid it off. So I've had this like yo-yo relationship with, I just saw 11:11 recording. I've had this yo-yo relationship with finances, and I'm like tired of it, especially when I entered entrepreneurship. Then I would have like these like 10K months, and then months with like absolutely fucking nothing. And then I would have another like month where I signed 3 clients and then absolutely fucking nothing. So it was like this like feast and famine in my business, and I was just tired of it. So really wanted to focus on figuring out my business, figuring out a new, maybe not a new sense of self, but a more aligned person of who I wanted to be. I feel like, obviously with the fucking global pandemic too, I really kind of lost sense of what was important to me. So I really wanted to like tie that back in. So self, career, and finances. Those were the 3 areas I was focusing on in the theme of having fierce serenity in all of those areas, and allowing myself to accept and receive, which has also been a huge point in my journey, is allowing myself to receive things. Like that's really been the root of all of my limiting beliefs and all of my self-sabotage and all of that kind of stuff. So then what I did was I pulled a card for each month, and then I pulled 2 more cards for each of those months. The first card was a high point or something positive to look for or something positive to anchor to. And then the second card was something to look out for, or where I might self-sabotage, or where I needed a little bit of awareness. So for each month, I had 3 different cards around this like clockwise cycle. And then I took it a step further, and I decided that I also wanted to have a theme for each quarter, because something that I learned in Q4 while I was doing my like self-care reflection and really creating a process for myself was learning about my astrological seasons. So right now I look outside and there's a shit ton of snow. I live in the northern hemisphere where it is, early February, and it is middle of winter right now. But for me, astrologically speaking, it's summertime, bitch. Like, I've got the energy. Like, I'm ready to do things. I want to have fun. I want to gear up. Like, I want to have a party because it's my summertime right now, astrologically speaking. And then, come springtime, like seasonal springtime outside, I'm going to start moving into my autumn, where I start to like retreat, where I start to, go internal. And I really reflected on this when I found out this piece of information. And so you use your rising sign, I'm a Scorpio, and then map out how your seasons actually flow. So my high time is really starting around like Halloween. Halloween is when my like engines start to rev up, because that's like my springtime. And springtime, like Aries season, which is my sun sign, is when I start to like retreat. So like summertime, I really just want to like lay back and enjoy and relax and not really do anything. So I also wanted to like take those seasons, the quarters, and figure out what my theme was going to be, knowing that like come Q2 and Q3 especially, like July to September, I'm doing nothing. I'm doing absolutely nothing. Okay, maybe not absolutely nothing, but I'm going to be maintaining is really what I'm going to be doing in my personal business. And really, really taking care of myself. So anyways, I digress. So I decided to pull a card as well for each of the quarters. So then I have at the very beginning, like not even the first page, like literally the cover of this notebook, I wrote down what my theme was, what my areas were, and what the cards are that I got. So now that I can use this front page as a reference point. So when I start to plan for Q2, I can go and see like, okay, what was my Q2 message and what was my message for each of the months? Now, after that, what I did was, and here you can see, hopefully pretty well. I just want to make sure I'm not like pouring my soul out in here and you're able to read that, which I mean is not very different from what I normally do. But anyways, you can see like area 1, area 2, area 3, theme, months, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. And so then what I did was I journaled on every single one of these cards. And it took me a few hours. Like this was like a day process. Not a full day, but it was like a few hours process doing all of this, setting the spread, pulling the cards, reflecting, journaling on everything. So I journaled on the cards that I got for my themes. I journaled on the cards that I got for self, career, finances. Then I went into like Q1. Then I went into each individual month. And I did that for the whole fucking year.
Yeah, I sure fucking did. I did it for the whole goddamn year.
Why? Because now when I go and I do my new moon ritual every single month, I have something to go back and reflect on. So January new moon kind of was like looped into the new year because like that's when I did it. But then for the February new moon that just happened last week, what did I do? I pulled out my journal. I looked at what February was. And I have to tell you, so I got the self-forgiveness card for February. It was such a beautiful moment seeing that card, seeing that reminder, seeing that like at the beginning of the year, which had only been a month at that point, the beginning of the year, my intuition knew that I was going to need some self-forgiveness come February because I wanted to launch in January. But Mercury retrograde had other ideas, and so I needed to honor that, right? So self-forgiveness. So come the new moon, what did I do? I journaled around self-forgiveness. And I journaled around what worked for me. And I journaled around what I wanted. And I journaled around all of these things. And I paid attention to, okay, so then the like high card that I pulled was the crumbling. If you want me to do this every single month, I'm doing it. Yep, you've just been here for that process. I'm going to do this every single month, I think, moving forward. Or maybe I'll do it on Instagram. I love the idea. The idea came to me. I'm going to sit with it and I'm going to see what that's going to play out like. But okay, so for February, I got the self-forgiveness card. The like positive card was the crumbling, and the thing to be mindful of or to be, self-aware of was accept disappointments gracefully. So I was kind of beating myself up about like, there were some moments of my cycle where I felt like I was kind of forcing, I was kind of pushing when I should have been resting and I should have been relaxing. And the self-forgiveness was like forgiving myself for that and like forgiving myself for pushing when I shouldn't have been pushing and yeah, like having forgiveness and grace for myself. And then the crumbling was a reminder that like things don't just change overnight. Like I gave myself Q4 to like create this process for myself and now I'm actually executing that process. It's February, bitch. Like you've been experimenting with this for a little over a month. Like give yourself a break. Let the old foundations crumble down and accept the disappointments gracefully. have the self-awareness that like this is going to take time. Creating this new foundation for yourself, creating this new process, honoring your seasons, honoring your cycle, honoring your energy, all of these things that I learned in Q4, like it's going to take time to implement. So have some self-forgiveness, have some grace, accept that you are a little bit disappointed that like, okay, maybe I pushed a little bit or whatnot, and just kind of like be okay with that. And then how I set my intentions, right? This is like a really important part. How I set my intentions every month while I'm journaling is I, again, reflect on the last cycle, what didn't work for me, and what I want to see moving forward. And then I go back to those 3 areas. So self, career, and finances. Those were the 3 areas I wanted to focus on this year. So when I'm setting my intentions, I journal around what worked around myself. So for example, for this year, or for this cycle, I should say, something that didn't work for myself was like being on my phone before bed. You know, I would scroll too much and I would end up staying up too late, and then I wouldn't wake up at a time that made me feel happy. I'm not saying I had to wake up at like 5 a.m. or anything like that, but I just felt like I was sleeping in too late. So that was something that I realized didn't work for me. So now when I'm setting the intention that I set for myself was I will honor my routines. So like my morning routine and my night routine, and my energy focus per cycle. So during my menstrual phase, for example, it's really a time of rest. Yes, I can still do some workouts, but like really pay attention to my energy. If I don't want to go balls deep into a CrossFit workout, like I'm not going to force myself to do that. I'll do a leisure recovery spin, or I'll do a restorative yoga, or I'll just go for a walk outside or something like that that really just honors where I'm at. So so that was my process. I reflected on what didn't work in myself, right? And then I went through and I did my career. And so for here, it says what didn't work. I tried to push a lot, right? So then the intention that I set was I will let the answers come to me when they are ready, and it will feel easy. So that's my intention going into this cycle. And then finances, right? So having these things to look back on, having that spread that I did at the very beginning of the year to reflect on has really become an anchoring point for me and helping me focus on what I want and what I don't want. And I have that now for the rest of the damn year. And I have that moving into each quarter. So there we have it. New year, new moon, solo planning party. Pardon me, I'm going to be hosting one. I don't know when, but I know that I'm going to because it was so beneficial for me. I feel so amazing going into 2022. If you have any questions about this process, please pop them in the comments down below. I'm really enjoying free flowing these episodes right now. Obviously did not have an outline for this. It's just been one shot. Again, minimal editing, but I'm really hoping that you're enjoying seeing the process, the authentic process of me just kind of spilling my guts to you. And yeah, so again, wrap up. If you're not following me on Instagram, go follow me on Instagram. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really, truly strategy talk with you right now. It lets YouTube know that this is good shit. And then it tells YouTube to pop it up in other people's feeds or whatever. And so if you found that this helped you, give it a thumbs up, because then that's going to hopefully let YouTube know to show it to people that it could help them as well. And if you are interested in this kind of content where we talk about spirituality in a practical sense, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I'm Carolina Jimena, and I hope that this video helped you just a little bit change the way that you look at spirituality.